Hello everyone, my name is Taylor and I garden on 27 acres in rural Wisconsin, Zone 4B. Today I'm going to show you how I have my dahlia tubers stored for the winter here. I use the saran wrap method and I have them both in a dorm fridge and a wine fridge. So I'll walk through that with you next. So here are my two refrigeration units that I've been using. This one I'll put a link down below. It's really nice. You can set the temperature exactly to what you want it, and it's been extremely true to that. So I highly recommend that one. I also have this one, which is actually the fridge that came with our camper and still gets used in our camper every summer. So it's a good reuse for this guy. So in here, I have lots of tubers. So I do check these every month. I also keep this in here to make sure they're not getting too cold. So my goal is to keep them between 40 and 50 degrees, which you can see this is doing a great job of. So when I check this, I'll clear it so that it will be reading the true temperature again. So every month I go through here and I check these to make sure that there's no rotting tubers because I'd want to get those out right away. So I do have some condensation in here, which is normal, but these tubers feel really firm still. So that's what I'm looking for as well. And then in the other fridge here, I have a couple less in here. So these are all the best tubers from my dahlias that I put in this one. I could probably fit them all in the other one, but this one keeps it exactly that temperature. I'm not worried about these at all. So these are all looking really good too. So I'm going to go through all of these next and make sure that there's no rotting ones. And I'll show you if I do find one. Last year, I think I only had maybe one or two that rotted. And using this method, that keeps them separated, so no other ones rotted next to it, which is awesome. So that is how I store them. And I'll see if I can find any that look questionable to show you next. I wanted to show you guys this clump of tubers for one specific reason, and that is, if you can see this one right here, that is a tiny tuber. If I push on it, it's still firm. Now, with this method, you can preserve those tiny little tubers. With other methods, I think you're going to have a lot of struggles with them drying out. So that's a huge benefit of this method. I found two clumps that I'm going to further investigate. So this one, it looks like it had a wound from when it got dug up. And you can see there's mold growing in here now. So, and it is a little bit squishy. So I don't have much hope that that one's going to make it. And that one was one that I was going to keep my eye on anyway. So I'm going to take that one out of there. And then this one, I just wanted to show you. So this one, it's looking dark in here, but it's still firm. So I'm not going to rewrap that one today, but that one will be definitely on my watch list for next month. And again, they are separated by a layer of saran wrap, so there's no risk of them getting the other ones nasty. So I'm just going to leave that one for now. All right, so I'm just going to unwrap this one, and it's really nice to put these tags in here so you know what clump is which. So this one actually was one that my mom grew last year. She split the dahlias up for me. So we have a numbering system that I have a spreadsheet that corresponds to it, and then I write it on the tubers. So this year, that was really nice to have that number written on there because there was a couple that I lost the tags during the growing season. And then I could, I found the mother tuber and it still had that Sharpie on it. So that was really nice to have. So I'm just going to show you here that, so I'll show you how I wrap it up afterwards too. But each one is on its own little track here. So here's the one that is getting real nasty. So we're going to toss him. We'll compost him. But these other two are really looking good. They're nice and firm. No other concerns. So I have them here in a mixture of sulfur. So there's this and vermiculite. So this is really stinky stuff. So I try to just, and you probably should wear gloves when you do this too. That would help with stinkiness, but I don't have any up here right now. So I'm just going to totally coat these again. And this is what I did the first time too, to help prevent any mold growing on them. So last year there was quite a few of these heads because the wrap doesn't get tight on it that were growing a little mold, but all the dahlias grew just fine. So I'm not super worried about that. Just try to get this nice and coated. And this is probably way more than you need, but it's nice to have a dry surface for them too. So just gonna get this one coated as well. And then we'll wrap those two back up. So I did also want to mention that I do have a different video that shows how I'm digging and dividing them. So this is that second part of storage, or I guess third part. But if you're watching this video and you're like, oh shoot, I should have done this year. The method I picked to store isn't going well. You can do this at any time. So you can take them out and do this method at any time. You can also, if you didn't divide your dahlias, you can do that now and then use this method as well. So there's flexibility in your storage methods and flipping in between. I don't know that going from this one to a different method would work very well, especially if you're going to a little bit warmer. They may trick them into sprouting. So just something to consider. Okay, so we are all ready to wrap in plastic again here. So you want to put out a nice length here. And I'm going to grab my dahlias. So I start with that first one, and I'm going to do at least one complete round. So and we're trying to reduce the amount of air that's around that tuber. So this one will fit nicely right there. And then I'm just going to keep wrapping it around. I'll fold the ends in here, wrap it nice and tight. So because this one had this other tag, I'm actually going to do a double wrap here. So just get a little more out here. All right. So we'll put the tag in right at the end. And you don't want too much extra because it makes it harder to see them once you get too much in here. So I'm just going to stick this in here. Wrap it nice and tight there. So this one's all ready to go back in the fridge. So again, this was that dahlia we pulled out. Signs to look for that they're not doing good is that darkness. This one also, you can see that there's mold growing in that cut. There is a little bit of mold growing up here too, which I'm not super concerned about. I think that's kind of going to happen no matter what. But otherwise, this one looked really good besides this part here. So he's going to go in the compost pile. If you've been using this storage method, please let me know. I would love to hear about it and how it's been going for you. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook under Tailored Acres. I hope you learned something today, and take care.